Is work-life balance a myth, a lie, something that's just plain impossible to actually achieve? This question came across my desk a couple weeks ago, and I've been kind of like toying around with exactly how to answer it. You see, like a few months back, I was at this conference with a bunch of other like finance YouTubers, bloggers, freelancers, and the big buzz phrase was work-life integration. And I kind of like smiled and nodded about that because here we are in my garage, and on the other side of this door, I've got a little kid knocking, saying, "Hey, Daddy, will you come tuck me in one more time?" I got the dog scratching, waiting to take a walk. And if we're honest with each other, the past year or two, with everything being shut down and people working from home, have forced us to sort of examine this balance, and if it's possible, and if it's not possible, how we can sort of integrate things. So I thought I would kind of treat us both to a little bit of a special guest. Haven't done this before on the channel. An old pal of mine, Andrew Hallam, he wrote a book that I love giving to people called Millionaire Teacher. And it inspired, honestly, me making and branding this channel, Teaching Millionaires. Well, he's coming out with a new book called Balance. And I thought I could throw, him this question and see if he could knock it out of the park with some of his advice and how you can kind of take that approach where you're balancing not only your personal finances, but your health and your wealth and basically everything. So let's get to it. I got him waiting on the line. Here we go.
Thanks very much for the invitation, Rich. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I knew you could help us out with this question, and I do want to say thanks for sending me a copy of the new book, Balance, and we'll get into that more later. But the question was, is work-life balance a lie? I figured, being the original millionaire teacher himself, you could tell us your take on it.
Hey, well, I don't think it's a lie. It's really based on, I think, how you choose to prioritize certain things. And I look at the traditional definition of what it means to be successful, and I say the traditional definition is bunk. It's crazy. It's crazy because, traditionally when you ask somebody, like, what does it mean to be successful? Or when we mention somebody is successful, like, oh, that guy over there, he's successful because he has his own law firm, he drives a Maserati, he's got a house by the lake. That only really identifies one component of what it means to be successful. And so when we look at research on life satisfaction, and that's what I did with the book Balance, I found that to ensure that we have or maximize our life satisfaction, we need basically 4 pillars. So success was related to 4 pillars. You have to have enough money, obviously. So you need somewhere where you're living and it's a safe place. It's not raining on you inside your home. You have enough money for healthcare. You have enough money for decent food. You might have enough money then for some experiences, a little bit of traveling. So money is a component of that, but you also need to have your health. You need to have solid relationships, and you need to have a sense of purpose. And so when we're looking at work-life balance, I think a lot of people end up overemphasizing the work component and overemphasizing how much life satisfaction they can get by increasing their levels of income. So yeah, work-life balance, is it possible? It's absolutely possible. Most people just have to, I think, prioritize certain things and buy less crap. Buy less crap. Buy less crap and start spending that money, or at least some of that money, on things that can enhance our experiences. So people, time together, and then investing money for our future. So we do that. We give ourselves more options.
Yeah, I was thinking about a friend of mine who is looking to refinance the house, and the idea of getting that refinance money back from the bank is just going to solve all her problems. And I just kind of smile when we have our conversations, because the root of the problem, maybe debt, overspending, is not necessarily going to get fixed just because you get an extra $25,000. And so one of the things that I wanted to follow up with you about is that idea of enough. And everybody's going to argue, and even those studies might say it's a certain number, but any words of wisdom for somebody on financially speaking, like when to know, like I think I have enough.
It's there's the behavioral component of this, where it's often relative to where you are in the world. So even in the United States, like where are you choosing to live? And it's the research on it is so interesting. If somebody earns $250,000 a year, but they're living in a neighborhood where the average person earns $500,000 a year, on aggregate, those people who earn $250,000 are actually going to feel, I don't want to say miserable, but they're going to feel less fulfilled. And the idea that we compare with our neighbors is kind of crazy, but we do on a subconscious level. And that affects our health, and it affects our wealth, because we end up trying to keep up with those neighbors. So we buy what they buy, which is absolutely detrimental. And it affects us on a cellular level. When we're surrounded by people who actually earn more money than us, it actually affects us to the point where we end up not living as long. So that in itself, I think, is really interesting. And so the question can be, where are we choosing to be? Like, where are you choosing to live, and where are you choosing to spend your time? I love the idea of spending at least part of the year, if at all possible, for people in a country where the cost of living is a lot lower. Like escaping for the winter, especially you and I were talking about people that can work digitally, and the idea that you can end up earning first world money and then living in an area where it just costs so much less. So your money goes so much further, allowing you not to necessarily have to work as hard. And back to that research, you're not surrounded by people who are earning $500,000 a year. So this isn't going to be as detrimental to that the risk of you falling into the FOMO category and or hurting your health.
I think that arbitrage is something that people really should start looking into. Kind of like the idea of working backwards. If your family always used to go to Florida, go there as an adult and see if you could picture retiring in Florida. Because for some people, that's not their cup of tea. But I know that you've kind of, and we won't get into too much of it. They can follow you on your website for some of your journeys. But where did you guys decide to end up currently? I know you're a little bit further away than Canada now, huh?
Yeah, so we've been globally nomadic for about 8 years. So I left Canada in 2003. My wife and I worked as teachers in Singapore until 2014. And so we've been globally nomadic for almost 8 years. Right now we're in Panama City, Panama. And so we'll stay here for the winter. We'll stay here until about April. And then,
okay.
And then we'll do, now that COVID, the restrictions are starting to hopefully abate, we're able to resume our vagabonding lifestyle, which for us is, it's not necessarily a financial thing in terms of why we do it. It's just the adventure. We often spend like 3 or 4 months in a given country. We'll do Airbnb, we'll rent a place, and then we'll move to another country just for the adventure, so that we can live and we can learn and try and experience life to its fullest. And we love to travel. Not everybody's going to love traveling, and I get that. But we found the thing that we really enjoy.
I wanted to bring it back around to the book here. The part towards the end that got me was just the idea of maintaining these strong relationships. And on this channel, if people are still watching 10 minutes in, then they're going to watch the whole thing. And for those of you listening on the podcast, I know this would be a really interesting question, but based on your research or just your experience, any suggestions or tips for maintaining, maybe proactively, those strong relationships?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question, because we often set goals, especially we're career-oriented people or ambitious people. We set goals, whether they are academic goals or career-oriented goals or financial goals. But when we look at life satisfaction, we look at the most important pillar. So the most important pillar hinges on relationships. So the adult study, or the Harvard study on adult development, wanted to identify, it's an 8-decade-long study, and they wanted to identify, well, what variable is it that leads to life satisfaction, and above all, it's relationships. And so how many of us actually write down goals that are related to human relationships? Like what it is we want to achieve. And they could be SMART goals, right? So by SMART goals, like they're time-based or measurable. Exactly. Yep. Specific. And very few of us actually do it. And I have to admit, like I've gone through my life really, I enjoy people. I love listening to people, hearing people's stories. But for me as well, I'll recognize that I'm not exactly setting goals for a given year or a given quarter that are relationship-based. I'll set other goals, but why not set goals that are factoring in the most important thing of all? So that's something that I think every one of us can do and probably do a little bit better. And I think especially given the isolation that so many of us have been feeling as a result of what we needed to do with COVID, it's deprived us to quite an extent. And so trying now, as the world opens up a little bit, trying to establish some social goals, relationship goals with family and friends, I think is key.
I think that when you were speaking to that, I was going back and forth between relationship with yourself, relationship with others, and I think a lot of people set, a physical goal. This I'm gonna walk the dog 1 mile, at least 3 times a week, or you can't see it right over here. I got my pull-up bar too, and it's I'm do 30 pull-ups nonstop, and whatever your thing is outside of yourself, I think it might be a good idea to just offer it to people, and maybe it could be something active. If it's walking, imagine if your thing was to just ask people if they want to go on a walk. Or I like riding bikes, but I don't do it enough as I want. So imagine if you just like at my school, like Wednesday morning is bike ride with Mr. Smith or Rich or whoever, And I know there's wellness initiatives, but I think that would be a really cool New Year's resolution or goal for people, just to offer something like that. And the more active, I think, the better maybe the result might be.
Yeah, you're right. It is. I mean, when we're out with nature and we're connecting with nature and connecting with other people, that's what we're meant to do. And it is so much more fulfilling when we can do that and we can get outside.
Well, for anybody that is looking to pick up a copy of this, is there anything, any little teaser or Easter egg you wanna say before we sign off?
Oh, wow. Yeah, a teaser or an Easter egg. I think I just really want to emphasize those 4 pillars of success and those 4 pillars of life satisfaction, because that's all we really want. Like, we want the best lives possible. So what I do talk about is in investing. So I do talk about how to build a diversified portfolio of low-cost index funds and how you'll beat 90% of professional investors when you do so, especially if you can collar your inner doppelganger, which is fear and greed. So there's that component that I talk about. And then I do bring in the science of gratitude, bring in the science of generosity, the idea that we're really social beings at the core, Rich. And so as a result of that, when we help other people, we don't have to be rich to help other people. It could be helping with our time. It could be helping with a little bit of money. It really does enhance our own life satisfaction when we can pro-socially give to others. So I think when we are trying to figure out what we want out of life, I think it's really, really helpful to look at what does science say about life satisfaction. It doesn't say more stuff makes us happier. It doesn't say more money necessarily makes us happier. But it's that overall combination, it's that balance that makes life so rich.
Where's the best place for people to maybe learn a little bit more about you or the book, and social media, website, plug away?
Yeah, I put my writing, so I write weekly, and I put my writings at my website at andrewhallam.com. So there are links there for purchasing the book as well on Amazon and several other retailers. It'll be available on all online retailers and then most brick and mortar retailers as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, if you like this style of interview, I'm going to leave links down below in the description to Andrew's website and where you can go to buy the book. And leave us a comment. Just let us know if you like this format, because we can do more of it on the channel. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. Andrew, thanks so much.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Rich. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.